Raise your hand if on the way to work, school, or home you have ever seen someone holding up a cardboard sign. Now keep your hand raised if on that sign the person was asking for money, food, shelter, or anything of that nature. So pretty much all of us, right? Well, my name is Kayla Sanders, and today I will be talking to you all about homelessness among veterans. Homelessness among veterans is a major problem in the United States. There are programs and services that have been designed to help veterans, but these efforts have failed to effectively address the problem. The definition of the word homeless means without a home and therefore typically living on the streets. So when you take this word and put it in front of the word veteran, a veteran in this case, meaning someone who served our country, who fought for the rights that you and I have, and who fought for our freedom, tell me that this is not a problem. Every day, approximately 49,933 veterans are identified as homeless. Homeless veterans live on the streets, in abandoned buildings, vehicles, shelters, or transitional housing. The issue here today is wondering whether the United States has taken good care of all veterans who selflessly sacrificed their lives for our country. This question leads me to my thesis that the Department of Veterans Administration should make better efforts to get rid of homelessness among military veterans because they deserve to be honored for their service to our country. The poor treatment of this group amounts to government betrayal, and homelessness among any population is inhumane and brings negative effects onto society. Now, many people are either unaware or simply ignore the dangers that come with being in a war. However, veterans had to face these dangers every day. Think about the way that we Americans celebrate and honor things that compared to veterans should be seen as insignificant. One very important and often neglected holiday is Veterans Day. Homeless Veterans Tell did an article where they interviewed former soldiers who are now homeless veterans. And one of the interviews that was done was with a man named John B. King Jr., who served in the U.S. Army in criminal investigations. He served for more than 35 years, and when he retired, he was then homeless. When he was asked the question, "What does Veterans Day mean to you now that you are in your current situation?" his response was simply, "What does it mean to me? How can I answer this truthfully? I want to sit down and cry, but that's not the way I was brought up. But what else can I do?" Veterans are not the only people who depend on the government. Regular citizens look to the government every day to protect and take care of them. However, many veterans suffer from medical disabilities, transportation problems, and mental disabilities. It is very common to see veterans who are injured while in service to the country and are then homeless. This graph here will show you the 5 states which have the highest number of disabled veterans. California has 180,800. Florida has 163,900. Georgia has 103,200. Texas has 239,200. And Virginia has 117,000. Studies have shown that the cost of leaving veterans homeless are just as high as providing them with permanent supportive housing. It is estimated that homelessness affects 600,000 families and more than 1.35 million children each year. And when children suffer from homelessness, they are set up to do worse academically than a child who has a stable, at-home life. So, to start off my service learning, the first thing that I did was I volunteered at the Second Harvest Food Bank of Metrolina. And here I had the opportunity to help sort and organize different items that would then be donated to homeless families for their use. One interesting thing that I learned during this experience is that food is not the only thing that is given. As you see here, I'm taking items out of a box, placing them on a table where they will then be distributed all throughout the warehouse, as you see in this picture. The next thing that I did was I volunteered at the Samaritan House. And this was by far my most rewarding experience. So the Samaritan House is a nonprofit recuperative care place for people who are homeless and in need of short-term care following a hospital or emergency room visit. So these 2 pictures here show the kitchen and the dining room area, and this is where members of the house have all 3 of their meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, as well as snack time. And here I had the opportunity to help prepare meals, serve meals, as well as sit down and enjoy the meals with them. This picture shows one of the two TV rooms, and this is where members can sit down, relax, chill, and do whatever they please. This picture shows 4 of the 7 members of the House, and what's going on is the lady in the purple, her name is Miss Anita, and she is saying the prayer before they sit down to eat, and they do this before each meal. This is a picture of Miss Deborah and Miss Deborah was the first person I met at the Samaritan House and the person that I spent the most time with. So through my time talking to Miss Deborah, I learned some things about her as well as found some things that we have in common. For example, her daughter Naomi graduated from East Carolina University, and my mom graduated from East Carolina University, as well as her daughter majored in criminal justice, which is something that I'm interested in majoring in. So one thing that I found out about Miss Deborah is that she has small cell lung cancer and was diagnosed with it in August of 2016. So the last thing that I have to show you all is a video and just some background information about this video. One of the ladies in the house, her name is Miss Risha, and she was diagnosed with non-small cell lung cancer. And through talking to her, she told me that she used to love to sing, but through chemotherapy and radiation, she just doesn't have the heart and the drive to do it anymore. So I decided that I was going to sing for them, and we recorded it. So here it is. Why should I feel? Why should the shadows come? Why should my heart feel lonely and long for heaven and home? When Jesus is my portion, a constant friend is He. His eye is on the sparrow, and I know He watches me. So in conclusion, I learned that volunteering and giving back to the community feels amazing. And honestly, you never know how one kind act that you do can transform a person's whole day. Going into this experience, I thought that raising money and donating it would be the only way that I could be of any service to these people. But by the end of my first day, I learned that money is not the issue, but how we spend the money. If we spent money in counseling homeless people and changing the way that they think, they would then have the beliefs that they need in order to create their own success rather than to rely on society. Overall, it was a great experience and I plan to continue my service learning. So thank you, and what questions do you have?
I don't remember the catch at the beginning, but what motivated you to pick this as a topic?
The thing that motivated me the most is because honestly, everywhere that you go, you see homeless people. But I have my grandfather, he was a veteran and he served in the Vietnam War. And honestly, for me personally, I feel like anybody, no person should be homeless, but especially not if you served our country. And this has just always been a topic that's been dear to my heart. When we had to do a presentation our sophomore year, I did this topic and I plan to continue doing it because it just means a lot to me.
You showed a graph with the population of homeless in several states. What are the significance of those specific states?
Those are just the 5 states which have the highest number of disabled veterans. So there are other states that have disabled veterans as well, but those 5 states were the highest out of the whole 50 states.
Yeah, what was the hardest part of placing it?
The hardest part was finding the time to do it between like working and school and stuff. And also, it's hard to work directly with veterans, especially because there's a lot of laws now and things. You have to get tested, background testing, and all that stuff. So that was